Welcome back to the Extra Rep Podcast, guys. I'm Josh.
I'm Liam.
So today we're going to talk about 8 to 12 week challenges. Do they actually work? Is it worth doing one? And we'll probably talk about some past experiences and how to really set them up as well. If you guys have followed me for a while, I run an 8-week shred challenge. So I want to talk about specifically, how these are done, I guess, the wrong way. Why they're done the wrong way, and then how to fix that and how to run these things the right way so it will eventually get you to a point where it can kickstart your fitness journey and continue it, as opposed to throw you into a massive hole.
Yeah.
So I guess let's talk firstly mainly about, why do people, well, it's almost a bit of a psychology thing, isn't it? Why do people go, like an 8 to 12 week challenge, like I'm going to make these changes, and then obviously they finish the challenge and they go, I haven't learned anything. I'm just going to go back to square one, to eating how I normally eat or train how I normally train.
Well, the barrier to entry is much shorter. People can be like, I can commit to 8 to 12 weeks rather than, change a whole lifestyle. And when you're changing, bad habits, like if you give yourself a shorter time frame, you're more likely to stick to it. And look, full transparency, I got my start in the fitness industry doing a 12-week challenge back with Dan at Run With Me. And that was me before high school getting up at 5 a.m. to ride my bike down to the gym and just get it done. But it worked. It ended up changing my habits and perspective.
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? Because it's like, you'll hear stories like, everyone watching here knows a story from one person who goes, I did one of these challenges that didn't work, or it left me in a worse position. Because I guess it comes back to marketing, guys, and the reason
45.
The reason a lot of the people do these challenges is because it's an easy way to get a lot of people in. It's easy to get money, and it's easy to mass market them the same meal plan, the same training program, and they just rake in the cash. And because you're on 1,200 calories, of course you're going to lose weight. And because you're doing 6, high intensity circuits a week as well, you're going to burn yourself into the ground. But the problem is you'll finish the 8 weeks, you'll feel like absolute shit, but you'll be like, but I lost 3 to 5 kilos. So it must be good. It must be, something must be working.
Yep.
And this is the problem.
It's not sustainable.
Yeah, it's not sustainable. And of course, we know, like, if you're trying to lose as much fat as possible, it's not going to be super sustainable. You're not going to be able to lose, 1 to 2 kilos the rest of your life or whatever that may be. But if you don't have any knowledge of why or how you got the result, or why they're doing what they're doing, I would then, question that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, how do I put it? The more effort you put in, the faster you're going to get a result, right? And like you said, if people know it's like an 8 to 12 week thing, it might stop them from, having that extra drink or having that extra meal out, or, going out in a bender or whatever that may be. But after the 8 to 12 weeks, they've learned absolutely nothing.
Well, some people do it for the wrong reasons, right? Some people do it because there's a cash prize at the end. And they're like, and I had one old housemate back in Queensland. He was like obsessed, and he was just doing this thing because there was a $2,000 cash prize, and then he didn't win, and he was just real pissed off and went back to old habits.
Yeah, I think that one's really interesting because they'll entice you in with the prize on top of that. So there'll be a few.
So there's an incentive.
Yeah, a few different incentives, not just, you're going to look hot on the beach. It'll be like, and the person who looks the best, best transformation or loses the most body fat wins a cash prize. So, of course, like, these are all things that, like all us trainers, potentially have done or will still do. But I guess the problem, like we said, the solution is within the method of how you do something. So when I talk about, the challenges that I've done and run, I get current clients to jump on board. For them, it's basically just extra accountability.
Yep.
Like I said, it might be a prize, might be something like that, but they already know what they need to do. We're just basically refining their approach and being a bit more, I guess they're being a bit more accountable over the 8 weeks. And the people who haven't done it before, I try and make it quite clear that it's like, you're going to need a little bit of experience tracking calories, doing X, Y, Z. If you're a complete beginner in the gym, like, this program won't be for you. And that is the other problem, where people will market it to, all these new people.
Yep.
And this person might come up day one, open up their thing and be like, what the fuck's a machine row? Like, and, and then they'll probably ask them a question, and it'll take them 5 days to get back to them. By that time, they've barely done the first phase of the program. They've probably done all the exercises wrong.
Exactly.
They're asking questions about, do I need to weigh this? Like, how many calories are in this? I'm not sure. Probably not getting a response, or, getting told 4 days later, that's not part of the package.
Or they don't actually have a program in general. Like the whole 8 to 12 week challenge is we've just got these class sessions on at these times each day. And if you don't get to them, then too bad. Then you've got to do your own workout.
Yeah.
So there's no sport there.
Yeah. It comes back to structured programming, doesn't it? It's like, I would say, like, as a, a warning, if someone's giving you an 8 to 12 week challenge and you don't have, some sort of structured program, of course, if they're giving it to hundreds of people, there's going to be templates, right? But they should be able to give some variation depending on, clients' injuries or goals or whatever that may be. They might have like a spine of a program, but then there will be, some changes. Of course, you can definitely get two people who can have the exact same individual program and get really good results on. But I would say, if you know a coach, there should be some slight modifications, I would say, for sure.
And it also depends on who's running the 8 to 12 week challenge. Like, is it a big box gym? Is it a specific franchise? Or is it a personal trainer or personal coach? I found that's where the biggest difference is. Like, for example, I've been through multiple of these. I signed up to your 8-week shred 2 years ago, got fantastic results on it. I was at kind of a dark place in my life where I was bouncing back from my health. And I did need that extra accountability and just to not think and be like, how many calories do I eat? What do I train? Just something as simple as that. And if I messaged you, yes, you always got back to me within 24 hours. But then I've had other ones where, honestly, like I can give you a standpoint from a PT perspective. Back at the old days of Good Life when I was a trainer there, the incentive for clients was to pay X amount of money, enter this and do whatever. And they would sell it to the trainers as like, this is a great way to get clients, blah, blah, blah. But then they would structure all these classes on during peak times that trainers had clients, and they wouldn't pay the trainers for the sessions. And none of the trainers ended up doing the sessions because they're like, why the fuck would we do this when we've actually got clients? Like, there was no communication, and it just made everyone look like shit. And then all the people that signed up were just like, I wouldn't do this challenge again. There was a lot of miscommunication. There wasn't a structured program. And it's like, yeah, there was miscommunication between everyone.
Yeah, I think, like I said, it just goes back to researching it, doesn't it? It's like, generally speaking, if a bigger organization that doesn't come from coaches is doing it. So I always say, like, when a gym does it, just do your research. There can be some gyms who would run them really, really well. Don't get me wrong. But there are a lot who, unfortunately, it's probably just a bit more of a money grab with, a half-assed app that barely works.
A lot of it comes down to money, because if it's a big box gym, it's like, how much do they pay? What's the incentive? Are they actually paying the coaches or trainers that are running this thing? And a lot of the times, they're actually not. A lot of people don't realize that. A lot of the times, like, trainers do a lot of free work for people.
Yeah, it's one thing where, and again, you start in the industry, of course, you're gonna have to do free work. That's just what it is. Like, that's just the industry. If you don't like it, then
we're still doing free work 11 years in.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like,
you're not going to get very far.
You're always doing free work, but I'm saying, like, it's not always communicated, and it depends on the attitude of the trainer. Because I've seen, like, honestly, like, this is not a knock, but it's like people that I wouldn't trust as my trainer, they were the ones that weren't doing so well. So they were just given the sessions for the 8 to 12 week people. And, that does necessarily inhibit their results.
Yeah, of course.
The clients.
Yeah, you need someone. Oh, Pablo just jumped off the couch. Anyway, so I think going back to that mindset of people who do generally join challenges, if this is like your first challenge and you've never done it before and you just need that extra kick of motivation, just ask around, do a bit of research, make sure you know what's going on, it's the right way, so someone can be like, okay, this is a challenge for someone who's just getting started. Not like my shred, for example, where if you were a complete beginner, I'd be like, this is going to be difficult for you. This is a more intermediate training program. You need to have a basic understanding of macros. You need to have your shit together, basically, and be on that, probably 6 to 12 months of consistent training. So make sure you decide. And then, because I guess the reverse of that is if you don't and you pick the wrong thing, you're already going to be behind the 8 ball and you're going to be stuck in that sort of failure cycle of like, well, I don't know what I'm doing 100%, so I don't really get good results. And then I'm like, oh, that didn't really work for me. And then that becomes, the gym didn't work for me. And it's a dangerous spiral to go down, because we know how beneficial the gym is, especially even as you get older, just from retaining muscle mass when you're, 50 plus, becomes even more important. So it is one thing that, you want to adopt for life. So when you do these challenges, you want to do them right, and you want to make sure, I think one thing to talk about is like, the exit, or what happens when you
there an
finish
exit
the
strategy?
challenge?
Yeah.
Is there an exit strategy from the trainer? Do they get you back to maintenance calories? Do they give you some practical tips and guidelines to go off? Or do they just go, all right, sweet, you lost the weight, take your transformation photo, and off they go?
As I said, like, it depends if it's a person, a coach, or a big box gym or a franchise. Like, the way it's set up, you just don't know. I can speak from my standpoint with all the ones that I've done. Like, even my first one, I thrived on the community basis. Like, I made some good friends there, and it's like, yep, sweet, see you tomorrow at 5:30, all that stuff. It was definitely really hard because I was a beginner back then, but as the challenge sort of went on, you noticed a few of the mornings, some of those regulars aren't popping in anymore and all this stuff. And then by week 6, they're completely gone and stuff. So having that sort of community and sort of even accountability and even noticing for yourself, I found that really helped me.
Yeah, I think especially when you're starting,
Yeah.
it's probably something that we haven't talked about yet, but that sort of community accountability aspect is massive.
Yep.
If you've signed up, say doing a challenge with a friend, and you've got to get up at 5:30 a.m. to go run laps at Altona Beach or whatever it is.
That's what it was.
The chances of you doing that, if your friend's like, yeah, let's go, I promise I'll be there, let's go together. Like, I'm going if you're going, that just sets the standard, and it's really good. Obviously, the coach will try hold you as accountable, or they should try and hold you as accountable as they can. But yeah, it's going to come back to if you can build some friends through that community. Like, for example, I've got a few of my clients where we'll do activities and events, and like now they're like, oh, they'll always say hi to each other in the gym, or like, help each other out if anyone needs any of that. And it gives you, I guess, a sense of belonging as well. Makes it a less intimidating place. You feel more confident, you feel more comfortable, and you feel like you're making progress and doing the right thing. Because you probably have someone who, once you know them a while, if you've met them in a challenge, they'll probably hold you accountable pretty well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And there's, honestly, it comes back to like army tactics. It's like you're suffering together, and it builds a relationship with people, because, people bond over like hard shit and like not trauma and PTSD, but it's like people go through a really tough workout together. And it solidifies a little bit of like, man, like, all right, sweet, let's go grab a coffee or let's grab some brekkie or whatever. And then it's just like, you feel that sense of accomplishment and also that sense of belonging.
So yeah, I would say definitely if someone is feeling like they're a bit as a beginner, those type of group fitness gyms are really good. Obviously, the trade-off with, the amazing community with a lot of them is that, the structured programming sometimes isn't there. So it's just, like I said, about doing your research. Ideally, if you can find, a trainer in a gym that's running one that they might be doing like a weekly session with everyone on a Saturday morning or something like that.
Yep.
Could be really good. You probably get heaps out of being able to do that, and then you're probably going to start seeing those people and talking to those people and really getting into that that new habit of going to the gym and eating well and doing the right things.
I think, honestly, for these things to succeed, you do need the 24/7 support. So I think, honestly, like single coaches that run the events and, they have their platforms that they can be contacted on, I think that they honestly thrive the best in these 8 to 12 week challenges. And that's where I see it really works, because it's a minimum barrier to entry. People will be like, all right, sweet, like 8 weeks, I'm just going to commit to 8 to 12 weeks. They look at the calendar, I don't have XYZ birthday or holiday or anything coming up. It's like, I know I can commit to it. I know I wanted to change my health and fitness behaviors, and I'm like, all right, sweet. And that can just get them started, because when things are in momentum, it's really easy for them to stay in momentum. But when something's stagnant and you're trying to get it moving, it's much harder to get it going.
Yeah, 100%. And I think back to that community aspect, it's like, for example, my 8 Week Shred group, we have our own community within the app. So I find that's good. Obviously, with my coaching clients, like I'll give them, an individualized check-in, right? Whereas in the community, they'll still get an individualized check-in, but what they have to do is they actually have to post it into the coaching community. So by doing that, straight away, that gives them an extra sense of accountability of like, I want to show everyone else, like I had a good week, you know what I mean? And then people will comment on that and be like, awesome, you had a great week. And, then people start sharing recipes on the pages and vice versa. And it just starts, spiraling. We have people asking, let's train together. Like, anyone want to train at this time, or grab a coffee, or get our steps in, if we need to get our steps up. These are all little things where, they actually make a much bigger impact than people give it credit for.
Definitely.
Yeah. But I think it goes back to, if you're looking to get the best result possible out of an 8 to 12 week challenge, by the end of, I'd say, the 8 to 12 weeks, you should know pretty much how to train and how hard to train during a set.
Yep.
You should have a basic understanding of, your calories, macros, and, rough things you need to hit. And even if you're not specifically counting perfectly, calories and protein at least,
Yep.
I would say something that you need to have a good indication of that. Obviously drinking enough water and hydrating yourself, and then having an understanding at least on how sleep and stress affects the body and affects everything like that. It's basically just the basic knowledge that you need to start taking your results, firstly that first step, and then to that next level, depending on, what challenge you're doing and what you're trying to get out of it as well.
Well, I can only say that I've only ever experienced that from personal coaches that run these challenges, never from a big box gym.
Yeah, it's...
And that's not to shit on them or anything like that, but everything that you just mentioned, I've only found that with a personal coach running it, with that type of support and education. Whereas the big box gym, the person maybe running it is just there for that hour. They're just maybe getting paid for that 1 hour to show up and take the class and then head off to their other gym or wherever.
Yeah. I think that's a really, really good point. And, like I said, guys, it just comes back to doing your research, If you can do your research, have a look around, ask a few friends who've potentially done challenges before, especially friends who may have been in a similar position to you, or like, someone like, he wasn't at the gym a year ago and now he's consistently in the gym, and I remember this coach, he did something under this coach or he posted it. Just reach out to them, ask them a few questions. How did you find it? Was it really easy to do? Was it really difficult? And of course, there's going to be times where it's going to be difficult, especially because most challenges are going to be centered around fat loss and losing weight. Inevitably you will be hungry, you will be a bit irritable sometimes, and you will probably not want to go to the gym at certain times. But
we can talk about a few of those things because a few of them can be a little bit rigged in terms of the actual rewards of like, you need to understand the terms and conditions when you enter these challenges, because what's the best result? It's like, they'll say like, who got the most amount of weight off their frame. But then you look at the before and after photos and you're like, hang on, he lost 20 kilos, but he doesn't actually look that good. And then you see someone who lost 10 kilos, but he built muscle at the same time. And he actually looks way better because he built some lean muscle mass on his frame. So, but the person who won who lost the 20 kilos, he technically won and got the first prize because he lost the most amount of weight.
Yeah.
So you need to understand the terms and conditions of what you're actually going to achieve. It's like, is it the best transformation, which will be a visual photo, or is it who lost the most fat? You run challenges of like who gets the most steps, like things like that. You need to understand it.
I think it's good to point out that like, if someone's running a weight loss challenge, I would, depending on who you are, if you're 150 kilo male, you could be like,
you could easily win it.
You could easily win it. So it could
it does make it a little bit unfair for the rest of the people, because someone who's 150 kilos, and yes, they're at a disadvantage because they're 150 kilos, but they can lose fat at a rapid rate way faster than someone who's 80 to 90 kilos. And in 8 to 12 weeks, you could be working a lot harder than them and a lot more restrictive on the diet, but this person still won because he dropped a lot more weight.
Yeah, which is why I say to a lot of people and a lot of my clients, when we do challenges, we'll do a body fat percentage challenge. So, you'll see if someone's 60 kilos and they go down to 55, they probably got just as good of a chance of winning as someone who's, 120 kilos going down to, say, 105 or something like that. So I think that's a much fairer way of looking at it. But I think most challenges, it should be, a combination of looking at the photos, looking at, the body weight loss, and then even getting the community to vote.
I was actually going to say that. Yeah, I think like getting your following, or the gym itself, wherever you operate at, chuck up a poll and, try and make it non-biased as possible. Make sure you know who's entering the statistics. But then obviously the person running it has their personal preference. And look, some photos are honestly night and day. You just look at some compared to the others and you're like, that person won. It's clear.
It is funny. And again, if you looked at, for example, some of my 8-week shred results, it's like the scale weight for a lot of them, they didn't lose much body fat. Or much weight on the scale. I didn't lose any. Yeah, well, that's what I mean. You literally were basically, it's like a 1 kilo difference or something. Yeah. I've had people on the same, either nothing or 2 to 3 kilos difference, but they literally look like, they've lost 8-9 kilos of fat and gained 2-3 kilos of muscle.
Yeah, they look visually completely different. And I'm a testimony of that.
Yeah, perfect. I think giving you guys a little bit of a sneak peek, there will be a 8-week shred coming very soon. And I haven't told Liam this either yet, but we'll be looking to do some sort of partnership. So if you want to get some blood work stuff done, that could potentially be another avenue, another bit of value we can add on for you guys in the next 8-week shred. just going to give you another level of accountability. You'll be able to, I guess, look at more specific foods and specific supplements that are really going to, take your results to that next level beyond obviously just, still fixing up your training, nutrition, all that. If you can combine that all together, that's going to put you, especially if you're someone who has trained regularly but wants to take your results to the next level, that's probably a fantastic option, I would say, at the end of the day.
Yeah, and look, you can honestly do the before and after, not just with the photos, but with the blood work as well, and see your health markers improve. Like, people seeing that, it's like a physical representation of my health markers have improved, and then the visual photo, and good luck not keeping momentum from there. Like, they'll be hooked at that point.
Yeah, I think that'll be crazy. Actually, we'll have a bit more of a discussion about that one for sure over the next few weeks. So keep a lookout. If you're not on our socials, make sure you're following us both, because all the updates will be posted there 100%. But I think that covers it for the 8 to 12 week challenges. Again, guys, don't get sucked in. Do your research. Make sure you're with the right person. If you're doing these challenges, make sure there's some accountability, and make sure they're giving you a plan and enough education during the challenge and after, so you can keep getting results. But until next time, guys, we'll see you in the next podcast.
Thanks, guys.